94.3 WYBC, the rhythm of the city. I am Wanda Coppage, back with you on a Sunday for another great conversation. I get a chance to speak on a professional platform with this young lady. I talked to her off camera and regular, just personal relationship. And I know you know who she is, but we get to dig into her business just a little bit further today. It is my absolute pleasure to be here talking to Miss Zeb Powell, aka Homegirl Zeb. Hey, Zeb.
Hey, hey, hey. It's wonderful to be in the room with you. Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity to kick it with you. I love talking to you, Wanda. It's a pleasure all the time. So yeah,
Long,
let's
long, long overdue. We have to have this conversation, and I feel like not just myself, but other people will benefit from what you have to say, your journey, and where you are now. You are designer, branding specialist, marketer, radio background as a program director. You're currently ESPN. You are a wife. You are a mother to all boys. So let's not forget that. And you
yes,
you
ma'am.
come from here. Your rise started here in New Haven. So instead of me asking, tell me about your childhood, what I want to know is because I just mentioned you wear so many hats and you're successful in all areas. Young Zeb, childhood Zeb. What was it that Zeb wanted to be when she grew up?
Surprisingly enough, my when I was little, I wanted to be a doctor. Um,
Really?
I did. That ended really quickly when I saw something on TV. I don't know what it was, if it was a commercial or if it was a show, and they began to perform some sort of surgery on somebody, and that was it for me. That was it. Nope, no ma'am, no sir.
So was it
Um,
was it just the idea of being a doctor because that was not what we often saw that made you want to be a doctor?
I can't honestly tell you what it was.
Okay.
It was just something I felt like I wanted to do, and I guess in a lot of ways I kind of did go there, but in a whole different avenue or vein. Um,
Mhm.
I've been called
Absolutely.
a surgeon before, but just not in the medical field. So yeah, no, I have no idea. Don't know.
Well, we definitely know, even though we should start calling you Dr. Zeb. You are in a position of power like the doctor. So let's go through it. New Haven raised, you said Eastern Circle already. Tell me about growing up here in New Haven for
Ah,
you.
New Haven has so many wonderful memories for me. I grew up in Eastern Circle, as you said, was born out there. Actually, didn't know it, but met my husband for the first time as a little one out there. His best friend lived next door to us.
Nice.
And
Shout out to Diamond D.
yeah, shout out to Diamond D.
Okay.
Yeah, went to New Haven Public Schools, graduated from Bessie Ross. It wasn't a magnet art school at the time, but shout out to Bessie Ross. I started going to high school at Lehigh, the old
Okay.
Lehigh, the official Lehigh. Um, and my mom saw better for me, and I ended up attending at my sophomore year on out, went to a college prep school in Madison, and the rest is history.
Are you an only child?
No, ma'am, I have a younger sister. She's 6 years
Okay.
younger than me.
Nice. Now, in speaking with Diamond, I told you before, Diamond brags on you. I love how he loves on his wife, but Diamond has told me on numerous occasions you are incredibly intelligent, especially
Oh
when it
my
comes
Lord.
to especially when it comes to math. It's math, right? You do math and bust it out in your head like it's
I
nothing. So
do.
did you ever see yourself pursuing something on that path?
Yes and no. So again, a quick shift in dynamic because I started off at SCSU as an accounting. Actually, I started off as a psychology major because that's what all undecided undergrads do when we don't know what we're gonna do. We just declare psychology.
Right.
Um, I decided to take a class. I had to. One of my requirements was a business course or math course, microeconomics or macroeconomics. It was my choice. That did it for me. Um, I've always been good with numbers. Always.
Mm-hmm.
English and math are my top subjects. Always. In my undergrad years in college, I spent my summers at UConn from eighth grade, from the summer after graduating eighth grade. So technically, before my freshman year, throughout high school, spent my summers at UConn in the Upward Bound program, and each year was
Upward
crowned.
bound.
Yeah, and it was crowned each year the Sahib of vocabulary because I love words. I love the literary world. I love words, and math is just it just was never hard for me. I just have always been able to do it. So declaring business as my major just became an automatic once I took that one course.
Let's take a step back. You said your mom enrolled you into a college prep high school in Madison. What was that like for you?
Different. So imagine a an 11-year-old because I was in high school at 11 years old. I turned 11 when I became a freshman.
That's
Um,
crazy, Zeb.
yeah, entered in at 10 and a half and turned 11 during my freshman year. So I was the youngest in the bunch.
No, so
Um,
so shout out to your mom. No wonder she said this is not going to work for my Zeb. You're a little bit too advanced for this world, and you need to be over here.
I was kicking and screaming. Trust me when I tell you, I wanted the full on Hill House. She wouldn't even let me go to Hill House, Wanda. So I, I wanted to
I mean,
go to Hill House.
it sounds like you deserve to be. You should have been where you were. Let me ask you this again. This is why I love having conversations. There's no structure. At 10, 11, you're entering into high school. How
hmm
how did that happen? What made that happen?
Um, well, kindergarten I got skipped, so I think I spent all of a week and a half in kindergarten, and got advanced to first grade, and that was that. Just
Were you reading on a seventh grade level, Zeb?
I, I don't know. Like honestly, I can't even tell you. I just know they moved me into a different class, and that was that. I don't know. Um, and just went to. I remember that my distinct memories were freshman year, Lehigh having one of the top three scores on some standardized test. I can't even tell you what it was. They
Mhm.
announced my name over the loudspeaker system, the PA system. And
Mhm.
I was like, what? And yeah, I got called into the counselor's office. I had one of the top three scores in the entire building or in the
Wow.
entire class. And I'm not sure if my mom had a conversation with my guidance counselor. Like, I don't remember how that all happened. It's been a minute. Because I know I look 25, but yeah.
You
Um,
definitely do. You definitely
oh,
do though.
that's an inside joke, but thank you.
You know what it is. So
Um,
10, 11 years old, Madison, college prep high school, young
mhm,
black girl. Tell us about
mhm.
that.
Yeah, that was different. There were less than, I want to say there were five of us total. Three of us, a small group of us were bused to Madison from New Haven. My cousin, um, rest in peace, Donna Miller Benjamin, was the head of the Upper Bound program, and she and my mom strategized that I just was not going to um, not benefit from opportunities that were available. I was also evidently, that was a strategy on their behalf, and
Mhm.
it paid off in spades. I also was enrolled in the Ulysses S. Grant program. I
Mhm.
think that's what it's called.
And, and
So
and
yes,
that's another college prep program.
it's another program that was based in UNH. I don't recall any memories there like I do Upward Bound. There's a whole family of us. Shout out to all of my Upward Bound fam out there. Some of us are still very good friends to this day. One of my best friends in the entire world. She and I were like thick as thieves there. So
Is
great
Upward Bound
program.
still in operation?
I think they are, but it's just not like how it used to be. I mean, we
Okay.
went and stayed on campus every summer and went to
Mhm.
class like we were in college. And then we came back and participated in activities during the school year. So if it is, I encourage all parents out there to get involved, find out what the process is, get your youngsters involved. It was absolutely amazing program.
That was a you had to be selected though, right? You applied and you had to be selected academically for this program.
I would imagine so, but
Yeah.
again, it's been a minute. I can't even tell you.
She's like, I just been thriving. I don't know what else to say. Take me through the halls and through your journey in Madison. Let's go back there.
Madison was different. Again, only a handful of us bussed up there, and I've always been one of few, right? So being around a mostly or all Caucasian school population, because that's what it was. There were
Mm-hmm.
the handful of us that went were bussed up there. That was the we were the only ones. Um, and I just remember and feeling like this is going to be a ride. I wanted to customize it for myself because I just, it was a I won't use the word plain Jane experience, but it was not like urban school systems where
Right.
you had all these curricular things to help you become a more well-rounded person when you graduated. So there were no sports teams, there wasn't cheerleading, there was no prom, and I said, yeah, no, we're not doing this. So, because I couldn't go to a New Haven public school and experience all of that, I brought all that. So I talked to the athletic, well, there was no athletic director, but the teacher who was involved in all of the athletic programming. I pitched a cheerleading squad and a basketball team, and they went for it. Um,
Wow.
my boy Andre Hundley, who's also from New Haven, led the basketball team because I like my thing is if we're gonna come here, be a part of this, we're gonna bring some of that New Haven flavor with us, and everybody's gonna be happy. So, yep, they had a basketball team for the first time. Andre led the team. They had a cheerleading squad. I led that team because
Nice.
I was a majorette at Lehigh with my cousin Dawn. Hey, Dawn. Um, and I just couldn't see myself. Now I was fine with going. I was fine with, I'm the type, I'll try it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even as a youngster, I will try it if there's some benefit. If I feel like there could be some benefit. If it's not working, deuces. We
Got
out.
you. And then
Um,
you even at this, I want to say maybe like around what, 13, 14, you were implementing all this into Madison at that time?
12,
Wow.
12,
12
13.
years old.
So the cheerleading they had, basketball they had by senior year,
Mhm.
14, prom, because I refused to graduate without a prom.
Wow.
They
I
had,
would imagine that your peers were very grateful that you
oh
set
yeah,
this off and set this in motion.
we had a ball. Like my classmates, and we had a fantastic ride. Those years were amazing. The program went so well with them bringing in students from other districts. They started another segment of it from Middletown after our first year. So the next wave of students that came from Middletown, and they were of other ethnicities. So
Mhm.
we had a set of brothers who were Indian, and I don't mean Native American. I mean from India. But
Mhm.
they were in love with the culture. They were down like they it was like they were from New Haven as well. So the whole um, urban component to the school's population started to really like take effect. There was definite inclusion and diversity starting to happen before that, well before that was a thing. And they
I
were
love
really
that.
welcoming to our ideas, really welcoming.
Did you so you didn't experience any racism discrimination at any point being in this school?
So if there were, well, so I'll say this: there was some. I wouldn't say racism. Folks were excited to participate or experience some things we were bringing because they didn't have it, right?
Mhm.
Um, and then bringing some of the dynamics that we brought there. Like my girls and I decided to do a dance. Like I was never a dance student, like at Dee Dee's dance school or any of the dance schools that are present in New Haven right now. But again, just wanting to bring some flavor
Flavor.
into the
Mhm.
program, my girls and I decided to embark on this yearly thing, and we made up a dance routine and we did a performance every year. We would do things to like um, Latin music, definitely hip hop, just to have that dynamic. And for that reason, folks were more or less intrigued, like, who are these girls? Like, who are these people? And what is this? Like, how is it that you're bringing? It was exciting to like see the different things we were bringing to the school. So I can't say if, and if anything, it was probably jealousy, if I could use that as a term, not like overt, but just, man, I wish I would have thought about that type of situation.
Yeah. You very, very ambitious. Did you carry that straight into college? Were you still that did you implement new programs and just Zeb all over the place?
I wouldn't say
I
I
want to make
implemented
that a
new
verb.
programs. So I actually did something I never thought would. I experienced something that has never happened to me in high school. I mean, excuse me, in college. I fell off a little bit academically. This is new. Like I'm 15
Right.
as a first year college student and not quite able to do what everybody else is able to because I'm still too young. Everyone else is what, 17, 18 years old.
18.
I'm only 15.
Right.
So yeah, eyes got a little wide and I fell off a little bit academically. So, no, my mom cut them cords off real quick. I did get I almost pledged, uh, to a sorority. If I was not on academic probation, I would be, an AKA to this day.
Right.
But
You
yeah,
got
I
a little
couldn't do it.
sidetracked at the time though.
I
That's
got
the
a little sidetracked.
but at least you have a story to tell. That's what I
Oh,
tell
for
people. I
sure.
had a good time.
Oh, for sure.
Because you're mentioning even back then, this is just who you are. This is what you bring to every door that you come into. You implement new things. You take charge. You are that leader, and I see it in everything that you're doing. You look like you don't agree that you are a leader when you walk through the door.
Listen, I don't ascribe labels to myself. What I will say is that if I don't, I'm very quick to suggest or think of. I will say I have an innovative mindset.
Yep.
Um, I don't have any problem knocking down doors if that's what it is. I'm willing to try the untried. Any of my clients will tell you I do not do regular. I just don't. So yeah, I like to see what the more is if we can get to a more, always reaching for that.
And you use the word before, even as it relates to you being in school, customize. You do this customized experience. You customize your designs. It's again, that's just it's a part of who you are. I think wherever you land, it's just you're going to be bringing this type of flavor like you have done. When did the design aspect kick in for you, and you said, you know what, this is what I think I'm going to do right now?
Um,
Because if you don't know,
well,
before you answer that, Zeb has
mhm.
a business. She's an entrepreneur, in addition to so many other things. Opari Couture is the name of the business, correct?
Yes, ma'am. So there's two sides. We started out. What happened was, and again, that was another situation. I was not intending at all. Just wasn't. I will say I'm blessed, highly favored. God has just kind of charted a path in my life that I really don't have any control of. He is steering this boat. I'm just obedient enough to follow and
You
see what
follow.
happens. I trust him, so we're gonna try that.
Amen.
Whatever he puts in front of me. But yeah, so I was working for the city of New Haven, white collar worker since forever. So I went from international banking to working in the school system, or actually working for city admin administration. I worked for the assessor's office, the
Nice.
accounts payables office, went over to the board of ed. Um, I was fine there, looking for what most municipal employees are. Okay, let me earmark my retirement date and just keep pushing toward that. And
The
that's that.
benefits, exactly. Mm-hmm.
And yeah, God said no. So my cousin and I had just found the Lord. My cousin was like, I want to do this. And I was like, okay, let's try it. The church I was attending at the time did not have any internal communications. We were both creative. I had already been working in the literary community with the Inner City News, was doing some other literary things. my pastor was like, I need internal communications. Okay, so we're
Mhm.
going to start this church newsletter. In the back room of my 2 bedroom apartment, destitute, having nothing at that time in our lives, Diamond and I, my company was birthed. My cousin and I founded the company just wanting to do things for the church, but the Lord said otherwise. And here we are. To this day, I am solopreneur at this point, but the company is still growing and thriving. And there are two sides. We started off doing branding and marketing for the business sector, nonprofits, city government, etc. And then my goddaughter got engaged and decided she was not going to let anybody touch her designs or do anything for her for print or anything else unless she came through our doors. So that's when the company's event design arm grew and haven't looked back.
And you have take a moment to shout out Miss Lakeisha as well. Lakeisha Spru. What's Lakeisha's married name?
Oliver.
Miss Lakeisha Oliver. Got to say the correct name. You helped her launch her business as well, and she's uber successful.
Yeah, so Lakeisha, I met, so Lakeisha's mom and my mom went to high school together.
Mhm.
And again, another unplanned event. I knew her as a little girl. She and her sister and friends used to come walking. Dee and I lived in New Harville.
Yep.
It's up to the Ville. Um,
Let's not go there. Is that we trying to be professional? You
okay,
had
I'm
me throwing
sorry.
up two
Well, I
fingers.
mean,
Don't
I'm
do it.
shouting out all parts of New Haven. I shouted out Eastern Circle. I'm saying what's up to the Ville. What you don't know, what I skipped over was I also really spent a lot of my younger years in the Wild Wild West. So they claim me too.
Really?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Look at this. Look at this. This is what I love when I get a chance to speak to. And by the way, this is Zeb Powell. If you're just tuning in, as you can tell, I like her. We have a regular conversations, and this is like around the way girl meets success. And we're going to get into the hip hop aspect momentarily. But this is what I enjoy because I also, just like you, I get to learn and pull from Zeb. So let's go back to Lakeisha. She was young around the
Yep.
house. Go ahead.
Yep. She would pass by the house, and one day I said to Dee, I said, you know what, Dee, we're gonna do something with these kids. I never like to see young people having nothing to do and no support. Not that they didn't, but I just felt inclined to step up with this group, and we offered to take them to the movies. I just remember when Dee and I first started dating, and he was working at Lincoln Bassett, and I would go over to the school to see him and just would be starry eyed looking at the little kids. So I always had a thing in my heart for the little ones. And
Yeah.
we took them to the movies and developed a great relationship, but we didn't stay in touch. It wasn't until like years later she reached out to me because she was getting married and
Mm-hmm.
she wanted me to do her wedding stationery. And again, the rest is history. She has such a refreshing mind. She sees a lot. She has a similar eye for style and detail. And I saw that early when I was working with her. She came to me with her theme, and I just basically put legs on it, right? But because
Nice.
she was so detailed in terms of what she wanted, which was a really different approach from a lot of other clients that I have. Most folks come with maybe a color palette and this is, I want those things on your wall,
Mm-hmm.
but not a vision for their day. Um, and I'm so sorry. See, that's what
That's
I told you what
it's the
happened.
fur baby. It's the fur baby. No problem. He has
Protecting his
something to
mama.
say too.
That's DJ, y'all. For if any of you follow me or D on social media, you know DJ does not play with his mama.
I know that's
Um,
right.
but she has such a refreshing perspective as a bride to be, and she told me about her fledgling idea to maybe do some event design, and I totally encouraged her. And when she was ready, yep, I branded her and set her up, and she and I actually share an office to this day.
Nice. Now I know we already mentioned that you are a woman of faith. You are led by God. You follow. and I'm sure you pray before you make any decisions. But
Absolutely.
in addition to prayer, when you are approached with ideas or someone offers you a position, offers you a job, and you turn it down, what's the process in that? How do you know what you're going to do, who you're going to work with, and who you don't?
You know that saying, it only takes whatever the blank is, it takes blank seconds to make a first impression.
Yeah.
Hmm. I know. I know. I can tell based on how you're coming to me.
Hmm.
Um, God has blessed me with a great amount of discernment, and I can tell when a person is equipped and or ready to be equipped, right? So if you're not quite in the place mentally, because entrepreneurship is not for the weak, trust me.
Right.
Um, and so there are certain things that you will be bringing to the table if you're serious, and or willing to receive if you're serious. So in
And
the initial, oh, I'm
no,
sorry.
I was going to say also in relation to jobs, to employment, not just entrepreneurs. Like when someone offers you a position with a company,
Mhm.
how do you know if you're saying yes or no to that?
Easy. It's got to align. It's got to align with what I want in my future. Case in
Okay.
point, um, I have been with ESPN in multiple capacities for about 7 years. I have been asked to go to work for other entities in the course of that. I've turned down a bunch
Hmm.
because if it's not aligned with my path, the trajectory that I see for myself, and it doesn't capitalize on the skill set that I have and the things that I want to do still, because there's still a lot that I want to do, right? If it doesn't align with those things and doesn't allow me to flex my muscles in the areas I want to grow and the
Hmm.
places that I've already developed, yeah, it's not for me. Mm-mm.
I love that. Well, how did you become acquainted with? If you don't know the backstory, I already said homegirl Zeb. You had a stint here. You were a part of the history of bringing hip hop to this station, WYBC, back when we played hip hop with one of the pioneer shows, right? You are responsible for bringing hip hop to the area. I would say, not just the station, especially new hip hop.
So
Correct, though.
I gotta credit my boy SW1, Steve the Wonder, was the brain behind that. He had a show, he was developing the idea.
Okay.
And he and Diamond D are lifelong friends since childhood, little guys. Um, and they've been DJing since forever. And he came to D. I wasn't supposed to be part of the show, for the record. He came to D. They got this show together. D got his FCC license. They got on the air. Wanda, when I tell you the amount of disorganization when I got no disrespect,
A
love y'all.
mess.
But that's what I said. I sat on a couple of those shows and was like, I can't do this. Give me a pad and a pen. And I'm like
Oh my
Eric B. And
goodness.
when I'm writing, I'm trapped in between the lines. I'm saying, like, I had to do something. So it started basically with me bringing some organization to the show. So, in
I
essence,
love
being a
that.
producer behind the scenes of the show. Okay, this is what y'all gonna do. This is what y'all gonna say. This is what y'all gonna talk about. And then it became, all right, well, we're not good. They didn't want to do all of the things that I had dreamed up for them to do. And they
Mhm.
were like, why don't you get on the microphone? Like I said, I'm gonna try, and we're
Mhm.
gonna see how this goes. And that was that. Like it, my love for what we did at WYBC really drove everything. So it started from just a show, and then it became okay. Everyone loves this show. We need to do more.
Mhm.
Um, I can't even remember. I think Andrew Gifford and I just kind of, he's a music director at the time when I came to WYBC. We forged a really great bond and I was shadowing him. And he was like, this is for you. So he developed my chops as a music director. I always had a passion for music. And I fell in love with hip hop at 10. So I came in with, okay, how can I make this show, this format? Because it wasn't a format yet.
Mm-hmm.
How can we develop this into something viable for this station?
What year was this,
Um,
Zeb?
Whew, let's see. So I had Derek Jr. in 92, so it had to be 89, 90.
Wow.
Yeah. So
And
by
and
90,
we're doing our Optimum Listener Hall of Famer inductees, and all of them are saying we've been listening to YBC for 30 plus, 35 plus. So
oh
I'm
yeah.
sure those listeners remember this show. It was the Power Hour, correct?
The Power Hours Rap Show was the official name of the show. Me, Diamond D, and Steve the Wonder, and then later on, um, Derek's cousin or Dee's cousin, Aaron AFX came
Hmm.
in, and he had a whole group crew that was with him that just, we would bring them in and just kick it, but it was more than just antics on the air. It was very structured. I created a playlist every week. I structured the show every week. I had mic breaks scripted for every mic break. I had topics for the current news every week. So it was very structured. Um, and they had to abide by my playlist. Like, it's just, this is what we're going to
And
do.
and many people don't know this, Zeb, but you trained Juan Castillo in radio.
Yeah, Juan came in after we were well established. We were
Hmm.
very popular at the time. The Power Hours was the hottest thing. And I want to say, and I haven't done research, but I have to say, at the same time that an Angie Martinez was being developed in New York, I was
Yeah.
here in Connecticut.
Yes, you
Um,
were.
so,
That's gonna be like, talk your stuff, Zeb. Talk your stuff. Let's do it.
we all listen now. As far as we were concerned, that was our competition. I mean, there was, not to discredit or take anything away from another station. Shout out to Tootski and the crew over at WNHU. But we were different. We had something different. It was more polished. It was more commercial. And so we took risks. Once I became music director, I actually formed relationships with the record companies. We were going to New York. We were meeting with execs. Um, I had my black book and would make lunch dates to get that first drop. Go pick
Nice.
up a plaque or a schedule. We were at New Music Seminar, Jack the Rapper, all of those things. I studied the craft, and I think that's where folks like Juan and the whole class that came after us, they had something to go on. We laid a blueprint out, and it was easy to follow.
You developed it. You created it, and it all started from a mess. Shout out to Diamond
It
and
started, it
SWA.
started with a mess, yeah. For sure. Yep.
What I wanted to ask you, and for one, we are on the heels of the screener of the crossover with that you had a part of. I'm gonna let you explain your contribution to the film, but it's real big on hip hop and sports. I got a chance to watch it the other weekend with my husband. Super, 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 super dope. It was absolutely incredible. And I love with 50 years of hip hop right now, which is what everyone is speaking about. I love the focus on that as our culture, as the artistic side of it, and I love your position in it in hip hop.
Wanda, I I I have to sometimes take a step back and go, how did this happen?
Hmm.
Um, so I'm fairly new to the team I'm working with over at ESPN. I shifted over. I used to work with the folks on the app, and have my hands on a lot of the stuff that you all see when you go on ESPN and ESPN Plus.
Hmm.
Transition over teams and started to work with the team that handles original storytelling. So now I'm involved with projects that are produced and directed under the hands of folks like Peyton Manning, Steph Curry, Chris Paul, and
Nice.
this project just kind of came my way, and I was ecstatic that I was going to be a part of this film. and originally just started as a smaller documentary, but it developed into something completely different. Um, and so my team is responsible for what you would consider cover art. So when you go on ESPN Plus and you're looking at the originals, the original storytelling, some of the documentaries and the series like Why Not Us, um, the properties like E60, which is a new news zine, if you will.
Okay.
Those types of streaming content is what my team touches. And when I got assigned to E60, was fantastic. Loved the group. When I found out they were doing a piece on hip hop, I was instantly like it was perfect timing. It was serendipity.
Yeah.
I knew what time of year it was gonna fall into. We were hoping to release the film around or on the anniversary of hip hop. It just didn't work out that way. But just the storytelling in and of itself around the anniversary and the way that it was done was absolutely sublime.
It's incredible. I and then my son, he's dipping in and out of the room watching. I'm not going to talk about Cannon right now because the only person he really recognizes and loves right now is J. Cole, and we had to keep telling him J. Cole is in it, and he would come in and he would be stuck watching, and then he would leave back out. But the
Hmm.
storytelling was incredible, and how they tied in the sports aspect of it. But before we press record on this and started talking, I was telling you what I admire about you. You you walk into a room that's supposed to be a boys club,
Yeah.
dominated by men, and you not only find your seat at the table, but you have the respect at the table. You represent women at the table, and you don't see that a lot in different realms of business. I would say in different
Hmm.
aspects of the industry, you don't see what you do. So how do you
You
do
know,
what you do?
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's. I won't say I don't know. It's God because I don't go in it. I'm telling you, this was not. I did not write this script for myself. I
Hmm.
really didn't. It is. I'm gonna try to say this without getting emotional. I just simply obey the footsteps in front of me, and it just seems like I'm supposed to have a place in these spots, in these places at the designated times. Um, I never planned it that way. And I am just the kind of person that you can't tell me what I can't do.
I
If
know
you
that's
want
right.
to challenge me, tell me what I can't do, and I'm going to show you better than I could tell you.
Hmm.
Um, and it's not that anybody ever said that I couldn't, but so just to digress back to something you asked me, and I never really answered it straight away. The young me was a chubby, bookworm, unpopular nobody. Like you wouldn't have noticed me in a room. You would have passed right by me on the street. Like but
That's why you're comfortable there. I get it, Zeb. Okay.
did I say something? I
That's
almost
why you're
prefer it that way.
comfortable. Mhm.
I
I
prefer it
get
that
it.
way. Um, I will do everything behind the scenes. I am not a right now. What you have me doing is not me. Like this
I
is not.
know.
Put me behind a microphone like you are behind WYBC, and I will. That's me. I'll shine all day behind those four walls.
Mhm.
Um, but when you are speaking to something that resonates in my spirit, oh, it's a wrap.
I love that. I was having a conversation had a conversation with Juan. Shout out to Juan Castillo. And he said something that Uday, my husband, DJ Platinum, had already said to me. When they do business with women, it's different from when they do business with men. Not going to go into the full extent, the details of what we were talking about, but oftentimes when you do business with women, it's better in certain areas. And I mentioned something that you just said in relation to coming into the power hour and seeing how it just needed a little, you need to fix this up a little bit and tidy it up. There's a little bit of structure when it comes to being a woman in business. Now, you are a woman in business. I'm sure you've done work with men. What would you say the greatest difference is?
That. That is definitely that. Um, and I'm not sure that that's across the board either, because I have engaged with some very detail oriented males as well, some
Mhm.
more so than myself. But for the most part, um, there is a level of granular attention that we pay, and we tend to get laser focused on potential earlier, in my opinion.
Mhm.
We're not doing it or looking at it for today's value. When I go into anything, whether it's at ESPN or at my company or even here in our home, I'm always projecting forward.
Mhm.
Today and tomorrow are fleeting, they're going to be gone. I need to make sure that I'm prepared for the future. And that in general is a key core value that tends to get missed a lot.
Mm.
Um, Nowadays, I could see it on both sides of the spectrum, but men um, are more so making it happen for now.
Right. Yeah. Mhm.
They want to make it happen, and it's got to happen now. And they may have all the puzzle pieces, to make sure it happens right now. What I find is when I'm asking, probing about future, that's where they tend to get a little bit, tripped up.
It is so funny that you said that, and I love that you broke that down. One of my, she has since passed away, but my all-time favorite supervisor, she would never let me call her my boss, but my all-time favorite supervisor when I worked in property management in Virginia, that was her game plan. She everyone that worked in the office, we switched jobs every 6 months because she wanted to make sure everyone knew everyone's job in the office. Because she
Hmm.
would always say, because if you get hit by a bus tomorrow, this ship is going to keep sailing.
Facts,
If I get
facts,
hit by a bus, I need you to know what I'm going to be doing.
facts.
And
I
and I don't
handle
I don't see a lot of men that operate that way.
No, and it's one of the things that drives my husband absolutely bonkers, because I have hands on of every little aspect, every jot
Mhm.
and tittle of my business comes through me. And that can be a blessing and a curse. I didn't set out to be a designer. So I wasn't going to school for that. I was going to school for business eventually. Um, but I gravitated to that. So from there, I had to obviously learn the industry. The skill set. I think is something that was just the creative side of me was already just kind of there waiting to be discovered and be tapped into, because there are some things you cannot teach
Yeah.
with with um with visual arts. There are some things you cannot teach. It's either there or it isn't.
Mhm.
I've worked with a lot of interns, and some of them, we just got through their internship, and best of luck to you, because there wasn't anything to develop. Um,
It just wasn't there. I
no,
understand. I understand. It's not in everyone. That's why everyone has a position to play. Everyone can't play the
right,
same position. Let me
right.
ask you this. Let's move into, because every time they give me a time limit, and every time I'm looking at this clock, okay, Wanda, we got to wrap it up, but I don't want to. That's the only part. I don't want to. The crossover. What would you say about this film? Obviously, you're doing the screener that is October 21st.
October 21st. Um, we're going to bring this film to the community. It's very important to me to share it. Number one, just because as you have heard, I've been a hip hop head since 10 years old. I love the
Mhm.
culture. And it's just part of me, right? It's just part of who I am. And exposure to me is everything. Having raised five Black young men, opportunity is not always present. And so when there is an opportunity to inspire, to uplift, to share, um, to shine a light on something, I'm here for it. And when I got on the team to help with this project, and I saw it for the first time. So we had worked on it for months before the a cut, not even the final cut. That's a whole nother
Wow.
story, and I'll let the director get into that one.
Okay.
Um, when A Cut was ready for the Martha's Vineyard Film Festival on August 7th, and I saw it in its entirety for the first time, I didn't shed a tear until after, to the end. And you know, if you're present, you come to the screening, please come. If you come, you'll understand.
Mm-hmm.
I got emotional because the trajectory of, like, as they say, how it started, how it's going,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the impact that hip hop has had on the world is something that I've never seen it portrayed this way. And I'm gonna leave it right there because I think I don't want to give anything away.
Okay.
The trailer is out, so please go to ESPN Plus, or if you have the ESPN app, you can watch the trailer. The film itself is not available on the regular free version of ESPN, the app. But if you have ESPN Plus,
Plus.
it is streaming. But the trailer is there. And if you happen to go to ESPN's social media accounts, E60 has the trailer up. I think the company in general has the trailer up. I shared the trailer. But the trailer gives you a glimpse into the storyline, into the storytelling, and it is very compelling. I've never
Very.
seen anybody package it this way, and the way that the director's name is Julian Gooden, and what he did was he showed us this impact, but in a very focused way, how sports
Yep.
just kind of fell into it. Like, it wasn't on purpose. Sometimes with us, with black and brown people, you kind of force our hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to we don't want to have
Absolutely.
to go there. I'm sweet spice and everything nice, but if you pluck that last nerve, it is a wrap. You heard? So is when there were certain buttons pushed, and there was a whole new regime in order. Like, it wasn't, this ain't the 60s, as some young folks would say today, right? So at
Yes.
the time, there was a whole new regime that was in Hollywood, that was in the NBA, the MLB, NFL, and the mindset was different. And
Mm-hmm.
so seeing how there was already a shift happening, but then you get a whole different generation from the shift
Yeah.
coming into what you enjoy so much and you love so much. Oh, baby.
Yeah. You said you don't want to, and I'm not going to give too much away either. But as I mentioned, I saw it, and when they brought in AI, I'm standing up like, "Let's go!"
Yeah, same, same. When I believe it was, one of the journalists said, "I've been waiting for this moment." Exactly, because you
Mhm, mhm.
cannot talk about sports and the hip hop generation without talking about AI. I'm sorry, but
Absolutely.
he tipped the scales when he, just the swagger that he brought to the NBA. Like, there was some touch of it. Other players were bringing. Allen brought a swagger that was undeniable, and he was not about to change for nobody. He didn't care. You could take
Unapologetic.
it or not. And yeah, that was powerful.
Yeah.
Living your truth is so powerful. And it can change the world if it's something that has value across multiple planes. I don't even think he understood it that
Yep.
way.
He was just being himself.
He was just being himself.
Much like you, Zeb, and the stories that you tell, you're bringing your own flavor. Before we wrap up, there's something that they said in the show that I wanted to ask you, and I think this is a great way to end. We talk about the culture a lot. What is the culture to you?
Whew, life. It's so complex. It's like life. Like, there is no one word, there is no one thing that sums it up. It has a breath and a spirit all its own.
Hmm.
There is a look to it, there's a feel to it, a sound to it that is undeniable. Um, it has touched every aspect of our lives. So, what I learned in understanding who God is, not paralleling hip hop and God in any way, shape, or
Mm.
form. But my creator has taught me that, we are like him. When Herc decided to put that party on, he birthed something that was life. And
Right.
it has given life to so many and so much since then. So I'm just wanting to shed some light on that, the energy that has come from it, the creativity that has come from. Some of us have jobs because of it. Some
Because
of
of
us have
it.
livelihoods and homes. It's not just music you hear on the radio. And to be clear, I am not a proponent of a lot of what I hear in hip hop today. But I'm like that doting parent. I see better. I know better for you. I know there is better in you. So I haven't abandoned hip hop because of what it has grown and evolved into, because I
Yeah.
know where it came from.
Absolutely. I love that. It reminds me of when I told my I had a mouth when I was a child. Listen, I told my mother when I got my first tattoo, and she said, "Wanda, how are you supposed to find a job getting all these tattoos?" I said, well, "I guess I'm gonna have to get a job in hip hop."
Well,
I
listen,
got a
my
little close to it.
little did I know that, little did I know, and I was blessed to be able to tell him this when he was here, but little did I know that recording Cool DJ Red Alert on
Mhm.
Saturday night in my bedroom was going to have an effect on my life in this way.
I love
My
that.
mom couldn't stand it. She could not. She would come banging on the door, turn it down. She would, take, if I was in trouble, that was one of the first things that got taken away. But you just never know.
You'll never know.
Hmm.
I love that. And I guess what we can walk away with remaining true to yourself, remaining true to yourself, never budge, never break, and let God do the rest. Just follow.
Let him. Yes, it. You summed it up perfectly.
Clear. It took me 50 minutes and we need a part two. We definitely need a part two, Zeb. I'll talk to you about what I have in mind to pull in some other women in business because I want to have a conversation. Definitely need you on it. But Zeb Powell, they're going to be bringing the film, the crossover. You got to watch this documentary. You have to watch it. We'll be telling you information about how you can do it. And Zeb, I appreciate you. Any final words, any final shout outs that you want to give?
Just want to say to the entire New Haven community, I love y'all. Appreciate when you support my husband, because when you support him, you support me. The love we have for the city. We don't live there in New Haven, but we still love that town. It still beats in our hearts. So just want to big up everybody in New Haven. Shout out to Wanda Steele. It's my main man.
Hmm.
And, we looking forward for y'all to come out and check out this film.
Absolutely. You have it locked to 94.3 WYBC. This has been the Electric Drum. Join me next week for another great conversation, and R&B is on the way. Enjoy your evening.